Hey folks, I decided that it's high time. Oh listen, my furnace is starting up. Yeah, if I got timing or what, huh? Okay, so I figured it was high time that I did kind of a shop tour. So this is an impromptu, completely unscripted, completely unorganized tour of the amazing disaster I have of a workshop. Some of you may or may not know that a couple of years ago I did a rescue of a computer collection, or vintage computer collection, that spanned 2 storage units, and it took 2 20-foot U-Haul trucks and a U-Haul van to get it back to my place. There were a lot of vintage systems and 330 banker boxes worth of documentation, media, and other kinds of ephemera. And I am just now starting to get to the point where I'm under that, or out, slowly coming out from underneath that. And I really hope the audio here is good, even though I've got this stupid furnace running right over the top of my head. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to fiddle with the camera a little bit and we'll continue the tour. Okay, got to start off with the electrical panels, right? 400 amps of service. All the way up there is my network demarc point, and of course you can hear the furnace. That's the link between the house and the shop. The staircase I use in order to change light bulbs. I got it from a place called the Rusty Rat Guys on Highway 167 in Auburn, Washington, in 2007 when we moved out here. Of course, this is my 2021 Royal Enfield Himalayan. I don't think I've got 600 miles on it yet. It's taken a while. Over here, well, okay, that and its mate over there are projector supports that I built originally that are now hanging on to my HTC Vive base stations. We've got a original Key Games / Atari tank game. That was part of the collection. Back here is all of the game console collection that came with this stuff. It's all over the map, and it comes from about the early to mid 70s all the way out to about 1987. There's Famicom stuff, Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Atari Jaguar, Atari Lynx, all kinds of fun things. The original Odyssey, and I've got a mailer that have all the overlays for it. Lots of Atari stuff, a lot of Atari stuff. I mean, everything in this entire shelving unit, with the exception of the Channel F and the Magnavox stuff, is Atari. All kinds of funky stuff, like this thing here. It's a VCS cartridge adapter, and I think it lets you play 2600 cartridges on the 7800. Not sure, no idea. Some of this stuff I still haven't identified. Not sure what the hell that is. I'm sure some of you folks that are paying attention to game consoles will know exactly what all of this stuff is. I haven't a clue as to what most of it is, and I'm slowly researching through it, because I need to get all of this stuff new homes, because this is not my bailiwick. I have a flight simulator habit that does not involve ancient console video games. Okay, so moving around, this is a Warthog cockpit that I built, God, probably been 9 or 10 years ago now. This is surplus to my needs and is currently for sale. Comes with all the flight controls and everything. Over here we've got one of my favorite tools, the Epilogue Mini 24. It's a 45 watt laser cutter, laser engraver, CO2. Does a wonderful job. I don't use it very often. Like the other tool I'm going to show you, I tend to baby it because I will never, ever, ever be able to afford to replace it. I think when I bought this new in 2007, it was $17,000 or $18,000, but it's been worth every penny. Can I zoom out of this or not? Nope, that's as far as I get. Okay, so here is the Shopbot computer and the Shopbot. This is my other tool that I will never be able to afford, so I baby it mercilessly. This thing is got, well, I'll get over here really quick. You can barely see it. That thing right here, it's a 2.2 horsepower Hsd Three-Phase Spindle. It uses an ER25 collet. And then we've got a Yaskawa VFD that powers that thing. And then back over here around the corner, that is the main control box for the Shopbot. In fact, let me go ahead and I'll pause this and I'll pop that open and you guys can see what's inside. Okay, so this is the interior of my Shopbot controller. Okay, these things here are the stepper drivers. This is the 220 coming in to the box. All the wiring comes in and out there. There's a big contactor and power switch. These buttons over here are the start and reset buttons. There you go. And this is all, the stepper drivers are fairly generic, but the control computer, which is this little thing over here, it's all proprietary Shopbot stuff, and that's fine because it works great. And that's all there is to see there. Let me go ahead and close this up and I'll get back to you. Okay, so continuing on the Shopbot. These are the stepper motors it uses. This machine uses a rack and pinion system. It's got a rack that you can see here that goes the full length of the table, which is, it's a little over 8 feet. The working area of the machine is 4 feet by 8 feet. We've got down in here, this is an air drill. It allows me, well, you can see just a little bit in there, right in there. It allows me to chuck a drill bit in there and do drill ops separate from the motor. This is the Z0 plate. It's electronic. Basically what happens is when the bit comes down and touches this, it closes an input. The table is a 10-zone vacuum table. And I've got the plumbing to control all 10 zones if I so choose. I don't use it very often. Or the individual zones very often. Normally I'm cutting full sheets. Okay, so we'll turn around and go back this way. These cyan things are seats out of a Beechcraft Bonanza that also need to find a home. We've got a Philbrick analog computer of some kind. And this is a Heathkit educational electronic analog computer. That also needs to find a home. We've got another piece of interesting Heathkit gear here. I'll lift that off top of there. Let me take a look at that. Kind of neat. No clues to what any of it does. I'm a digital guy. Tools, of course. Miscellaneous cardboard, garbage, blah, 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 blah. Some speakers that a buddy of mine gifted me that I have not yet found a place to put yet. This is the stack of Commodore. It's most of the Commodore stuff that was in the collection. It's not all of it, of course. It's just the ephemera, documentation, things like that. There's 3 VIC-20s, but all the other computers and things are elsewhere, and you'll see those here in a second. Over here we've got some battery storage, an ancient TiVo, more interesting goodies. This, what I'm about to show you, I don't know how well you can see that, but that is a mask for a semiconductor. And this is what is used to expose the silicon when they're doing the layer construction. And I'm not sure where it's from. I've been told it's Atari, but I'm not sure. And again, the whole box is full of this interesting stuff. In fact, there's some cartridges and things like that that I need to go through, but this is my bench, Martha Stewart, completely covered in stuff. because I'm still trying to organize my way out from under all this vintage stuff. This is kind of an interesting goodie right here. I think it's for a Sega Game Gear, not sure. Let's see here. Got a couple of these. It appears to be a RAM add-on board made by Advanced Logic Systems for the Apple II. And I've got 3 of these blank boards. There's a Apple ROM card that's missing a chip, so who knows what that's all about. A drive controller, and there's a Video 7 board here. Not sure what that's all about. Whoops. Okay, we just dropped something on the floor. Let's see what we got here. MPC peripherals, Apple II parallel printer port card. Okay, yeah. Interesting. Another interesting thing. I have no idea what this is for. Clax PC Engine. Never seen a cartridge like that. I'm not real sure what it's all about. Miscellaneous bits and pieces I'm still sorting through. This is where I've hidden all my metalworking stuff, because, well, vintage computer collection, no room. There's my spare Mylar that Wayne and I used when layering setting up the collimated display system. This used to be my bench for working on model airplane stuff and, well, vintage computer things. 3 MSLA printers that need to get way more use than they're getting. All of these boxes down here are full of S100 boards, Apple II boards, and there's one box right there that is nothing but Timex Sinclair stuff, or ZX81 stuff. And then a pair of 8-inch drives. That held a complete S100 system, and you'll see more of those here in a few minutes. Some motherboards I've been doing repair on. This is my main workstation for doing CAD work, research, things like that. More motherboards on the bench. Soldering, desoldering stuff. Parts storage. Miscellaneous rechargeable tools. And I think I'm going to take us upstairs, so I got to turn those lights on. Hang on just a second. Okay, so we're going to take a trip up real quick, and I'll cover some of these other things down here after we do that. So let's meander through here. And I'm trying to keep the camera as reasonably steady as I can as we go up here. Okay, lots of model airplane stuff. And then we get into my flight simulator stuff. All of that is F-15 glare shield panels and things like that. More simulator flight control, simulator parts, computers, video displays, lots of commercial sim parts there. 707 or 747 throttles. And then everything in here is all for the F-15 project. Panels, electronics, well, except for like that. That's an Elite console for the Elite simulator. And then the radio stack's way back there in the corner. You probably can't see that. But by and large, most of this is for the F-15. Okay, so moving on. Taking ideas to how much space all this is eating up. That's a lot. But I'm getting through it slowly but surely. Okay, we meander down the stairs, and hopefully I don't fall, because that would really suck. Okay, so that thing is the vacuums that I use to run the vacuum hold down on the Shopbot. We've got my DIY ejection seat for the F-15. It's going to be replaced soon. Those are the logic boards for the ATC 810 simulator that you'll hear in a second. You'll see in a second, I mean. My current work in progress on the F-15 left side console. All kinds of wiring going on here. All goes down into this cannon plug that actually will attach to its original place in the floor of the cockpit. Some BF-109 stuff that I've been working on in the past. Miscellaneous Things. This is the old sim computer. Still is the sim computer, but needs to be upgraded badly. Vintage stuff. H19 terminal, great thing. On the below that, on the bottom, is some kind of an IBM terminal concentrator, I think. And wander over here. You'll see all this steel in all these Amazon packages. You'll find out what that's about coming soon. Okay, here's more of the vintage stuff. That I have no clue as to what it is. That I have no idea what it is. But we've got a couple of PCs. One of them has an iMagic property sticker, which I think is kind of cool. Then we've got a Krememco System 1 right here. Some Krememco 8-inch disk drives. It's a PR40 dot matrix printer that is mated to this SWPC or SWT-PC system. I've actually got two of these. I have one in this style chassis, and I have another one that has a chassis that's open grill, and the disk drives for that. Those drives, I think, are either for the IMSI or for the North Star Horizon, which I have two of those. Laserdisc players. One of them, I've been told, is for Firefox, the arcade game, and the other one had come out of a Dragon's Lair cabinet. I don't know which is which. I don't know if either one of those statements is accurate. I haven't tried to verify it. I don't know if I even could. We've got a WTI datamate down here. No clues to what that thing is. And then this is just a stack of stuff that I've got destined for somebody else. This is a prototype of an Indy that got some shipping damage when I got it 20 years ago, so nothing happened to it. Compact ProLiant 6000, it's also going to a new home. There are 3 TI-99 PEBs, and the boxes over here, it's all TI-99 stuff. This is kind of an interesting thing. It's a standalone disk drive. It does not require a PEB, which is kind of interesting. This is the add-on box, and then the disk drive for it's right there. Of course, the F-15 that we all know and love, and I really miss working on. Some miscellaneous HP stuff. This is kind of amusing. This is a scratch-built enclosure for either a Timex Sinclair 1000 or a ZX81. But this is the most crazy, jankiest, scariest thing I have ever seen anybody ever do to a computer system. It's in a foil-lined box, and it's got AC coming into it. And then this is the keyboard that was also made to use with this thing. And I mean, somebody went to a lot of work to make this happen. And one of these days I will be brave enough to very carefully check it out and put power to it to see if it works. Sinclair Spectrum 3. This has actually got a disk drive in it. This thing here is something that showed up with the ATC 810. It is a bug-eye Fresnel display for Desktop Flight Simulator. And then we're going to meander over here real quick. This is the top to the ATC 810, or part of the top. The Rostock Max V0 Orange Menace. A small tabletop, milling machine, and my lathe. All of this that you see here, all of these boxes are full of documentation that need to be scanned. And there is a lot of stuff to go through, and you'll see how I do that here in a second. So we'll kind of meander back over here. We're going to take a trip going this way. This blue thing here is kind of an interesting thing. Years ago there was a service called GameLine, and you got a cartridge for your Atari 2600 that would allow you to download games over the phone lines, and this is one of the servers that served up those games. In theory, that hard disk on the back should contain cartridge images for Atari games. I've got the hardware to image that disk, but I have not gotten to that point yet. Moving on, here's the ATC 810. You've seen video about that before. This is my 3D printer enclosure that I finally got to a position where I can actually start using it again. There is a Hacker H2 in here that I call Iron Hacker. My Rostock Max V0 Red Sonja, and then a Rostock Max V4 that hasn't been named. And then, you know, storage, and this is my regular workbench. We'll meander over here. There's some Cocoa stuff on the bottom. There's some pet documentation, miscellaneous magazines, my messy desk, or workbench. A bunch of vintage RC airplane radios that I've been hanging on to because I'm going to be doing some digital mods to those in the future. More 3D printers, fancy lights, more workbench stuff. Down here is a Cosmac development system. You can't see it all, but there's the terminal, there's a computer system, and there is a dual 8-inch disk drive under that. More magazine stuff. Lots of CPM and Krememco S400 bus documentation. My messy workbench again. But this one moves, so yeah, it's important, right? Diskettes that have been imaged. I use a piece of hardware called an applesauce. It works on Macintosh only, but despite that, it's probably the best imaging solution I have seen yet, and it works wonderfully. I can do any media. Most of these diskettes are hard sectored, actually. Mix of Northstar and Heathkit H8 and H89. Here's a stack of S100 systems. One on the bottom is complete. It's got 2 drives on one side. There's a pair of 8-inch disk drives and 2 more CompuPro systems. And then a TRS-80 Model 3. It needs to be torn apart and have the drives cleaned because they're not working right. And then this is my own little data center where I host all my websites. All my NAS stuff is here. My internet presence is basically right there. This is the stack of bound books that are in the queue to scan. This is my bound book scanner. You've seen videos of this before, probably. This is my shear. When something needs to be scanned, and it doesn't matter if I cut the spine off it or not, I use this, and I come over here and I use either this scanner if it's large format, or this scanner if it's not. Another workstation I've got for my scanning stuff, and then there's a rack of more computers and a TRS-80 Model 4 at the top. And then over here we've got even more stuff. There's a Franklin H1200 at the top. Miscellaneous stuff related to that. There's another Franklin H1200. I think there's 3 or 4 monochrome monitors in great working condition there. A couple of PDP-8s, a Krememco C10 right there. This is all my Apple II stuff. There's a 2 and 2 2+, a 2C and a disk drive. There is a Spectra Video SVI 328 there. More Atari goodies up top. There's a little bit of Commodore stuff, and oh, where's my other Commodore stuff? My main Commodore stash is back here, way back in that corner. All of this is media. It's stuff that I am currently imaging. What do we have in here? This is an Altair. The box below it has a processor technology Sol 20 in it, and I have another box over here somewhere that has an MSI 8080 in it. A stack of IEEE drives for Commodore PET, my Super PET 9000, and in the box below it is an 8032 that's got a RAM problem. Well, both of them have RAM problems, so they're on the to fix pile. A couple of Osbornes, more miscellaneous stuff. A 520 ST. It actually works pretty well. It's kind of neat. I bought this little gadget here, and it allows me to connect the ST up to a VGA display, and it comes up with a really nice crisp monochrome display. And I've got a color monitor for the ST, but I don't have a cable for it yet, so I haven't been able to do anything with that. This is all the TRS-80 Model 1 stuff. There's 8 keyboard units, 3 expansion interfaces, and I think 4 disk drives. And then I've got 3 monitors, I think, and one of them has the cable cut, which just irritated the hell out of me. Over here is a Challenger 4P. Those tape carousels are for TRS-80 color computers. There's more Coco stuff back there. These 2 machines, one is a PMC-80, one is a PMC-81. This machine is a Hsd Sorcerer clone. That is an Atari 800XL PAL version. Right here is an Atari 1400XL that I did a video on, I think, last summer. This is all my Heathkit stuff. Kind of, well, and there's some Commodore in there too, but there's 2 H8s and an H11. And then right down there, you can see the paper tape spool. That's an H10 paper tape punch and reader. There's more TRS-80 stuff there. And then moving over here, we've got a Z19 terminal. I think, yeah, it's Z19 terminal. There's a bunch of stuff for the Mindset computer. A lot of PC Junior stuff. There's that other SWT PC thing I was telling you about. One of 2 North Star Horizons. A dual 8-inch disk drive, and then it's an empty 8-inch disk drive chassis, and then 2 S100 systems. And then there on the bottom down there, below that one disk drive, is a Gimmicks system. It's a 6809 CPU based system that uses the SS50/SS30 bus that the SWT PC machines use. And then here's a Mindset in a bag, travel bag, kind of cool. This is all boxed software for 8-bit computers. At some point I need to go through it. There's an Apple IIe that I use for testing other machines with. And there's the monitor I was talking about. And then, of course, my Series 1 cockpit prototype unit that I used to experiment on. And I pretty much think that's everything. So, yeah. That's a stack of documentation. It's also going to be scanned in the bound book scanner. And there you go. This has been my life for the last 2 years. And why I haven't been getting really anything done. So yeah. Thanks for watching, folks. And I'll have an interesting project or 2 coming up here soon. See you then. Bye-bye.